What's up? I'm Dale Maxwell. This is Kick-Assery. What do we do on Kick-Assery? We talk about kick-ass people. Today, I am super stoked to have this young man right there. There he is. Brad Paine is on the show. What's up, Brad?
Hey,
How are you
everyone.
doing?
Good.
Good? So, real quick, I want to tell you about this fella. To say I'm impressed is an understatement. Brad, how long have we known each other?
I would say 2002 or 2003. So 20 years.
In this 20 years, because I met Brad, you were still in high school,
That's
right?
correct.
Because you were in
Yeah, going
Elliott.
to be a freshman.
Yeah, right. Okay. And got to work with him as and we'll talk about that. But in the time I've met Brad, watched Brad grow, see him go through the military, see him go through college, see him go through life, trials and tribulations. We both have a shared mentor that we just lost about a year and a half ago. And going through that growth, I, dude, the last 5 years, man, has been a lot for you in a lot of great, amazing ways.
A lot has happened, yeah.
Because you blessed us being on Kickassery and shared a lot of great insights, and we shared a lot of great stories. What's happened in the last 5 years, 5-ish years?
In the last 5 years, so I'd recently just moved out to where I'm at now, which is Notice. Small town, I think I mentioned that. It's actually grown a little bit. It's over 600 people now. But I was in healthcare. I worked at the St. Luke's ER. I did registration type admin work. Then from there, a couple years ago, I had transitioned to Salter Health into the urgent care, doing the same type of stuff, registration, admin work. Then I was getting burnt out in healthcare, going through all of COVID. We went through COVID the last couple years, all the masking and everything like that. I was just getting burnt out. I had moved to a family practice, little small clinic, and I enjoyed that. Then I still was getting burnt out. Come home, even though there were short days, I would just feel tired and decided to transition to something different. But before I get to that, I'm going to take a step back. From St. Luke's, I actually had met someone in Thanksgiving of 2020, online dating. I think it was Bumble was the app. I had met someone then, because throughout the years, Dale knows my dating life, up and down, up and down. Couldn't find anything steady. Got engaged a year later on the New Year's Eve of 2021. Then last December of 2022, December 11th, got married.
Look at
And
that.
for a lot of people that don't know, Dale was actually one of my groomsmen. So who knew when I first met you, a guy in the orange bucket hat would be one of my groomsmen.
Right?
So,
Right?
yep.
I have to admit that when I got that phone call, because Brad, you and I aren't, I mean, dude, we go way back and we're brothers till the end, but we're not like calling every week kind of relationship. So when I got your phone call, I was like, oh, cool, Brad. Haven't talked to you for a while. What's going on? Talking and talking. And then you drop the question on me, hey, get married. You want to be a groomsman? Dude, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, huh? To say that I am still to this day humbled and honored to be a part of that is an understatement, brother. So thank you so much for involving me. And it was an incredible wedding.
Well, I'm glad you could be a part of it. So,
Incredible wedding. Now, when I say, and this is going to sound arrogant, but when I say it's an incredible wedding, I DJ'd for a lot of years. I've been to a lot of weddings. some very expensive weddings, some dirt floor poor weddings. Your wedding was a really, really fun, well put together, unique in very positive ways. It was a really cool show. Your wife did an
She
incredible
did
job.
all well. She did it all. Would like to say, yeah, it was all her. I was there for moral support essentially. So,
You showed up with the mullet and crashed the party.
yep. Oh, and that's another thing that happened in the last 5 years. End up having a mullet. I was going to do it for Halloween one year, and um, decided, well, I'm just going to keep it going. Now it's there.
Love it.
So,
Love it. So I'm going to share. I want to share real quick since we were talking about the wedding.
okay.
How good looking is that? Can we make it bigger? There we go. Dude, you,
On point. Yeah, great hair day and the colors, winter wedding. We were hoping for the snow because it snowed earlier that week. Then day of the wedding, it poured rain.
and we had
Then,
to have the umbrellas.
yep, then all the guys there. Then that night after the wedding started snowing and it snowed like 4 inches.
Yep. Yep. I drove home in the snow the
Yeah.
day after. Yeah. So, yep. Look at that dude. Good looking dude. Got the old guy in the corner. Hey, I loved it. That was an amazing event. I truly, truly, truly appreciate and am honored. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're welcome.
so in that time, a few things have changed. Your job kind of changed a little bit.
Yep. So with the support of my wife, because she knew I wasn't I just wasn't having that much in healthcare anymore. Because when I left St. Luke's, I actually left without having a job, and I drove B truck for some guys I went to high school with, some farmers, and so I did that for the fall. Then I took a couple months off because I normally work the holidays for Thanksgiving, Christmas. So I took a few months off, spend it with family and everything. Then I came aboard Salter Health and in the urgent care. Then I was there for almost 2 years, the urgent care, then the family practice. Then the MA I worked with, her dad was a water master for a ditch company. And growing up on the farm, we kind of work with ditch companies to get water and everything. She's like, you should look into this because we had some guys that were supposed to interview. No one showed up. So I was like, all right, I'll look. I applied on a Tuesday. They reached out on a Wednesday. I interviewed on Friday. They offered me a job. I let them know. I was like, sure, I'll take it. Then I started May of this year, right before Memorial Weekend. And the last 10 years, I haven't worked 5 days a week unless it was overtime because all my shifts were 10s or 12s, which that's a great schedule, especially having the
Mhm.
long weekends. But now I'm back to 5 days a week, 7 to 3:30. I was like, how am I gonna do this? I'm gonna have short weekends, but I'll have the evenings back. And I went right into it. I enjoy it.
Good.
So with a ditch company, so essentially we run and maintain the canals in certain areas of the Treasure Valley that come off of Lake Lowell and that dam area. I'm on the crew. You have the crew and ditch riders. The ditch riders, they maintain certain canals, deliver water to the farmers and stuff like that. And the crew, essentially, the summer is our slower time. So we'll do, if anything breaks, we go out there, fix it. If there's a gopher hole in the ditch bank, we take a backhoe, dig it up, plug it back up because water, it can just destroy stuff, something small. If it goes through that gopher hole long enough, it can have a ditch break. And depending on where that's at, that can be bad because there's ditches by subdivisions and stuff like that. Just awesome in job, learning a lot of more skills and everything. Driving a beater tractor, weeding down the ditch banks. That's actually enjoyable. You're out by yourself, just listening to music, watching the sunrise, like all that type of stuff. Driving heavy equipment, trucks, and whatnot. But no, it was a great transition. I'm working the more days a week. I'm happier. I come home. I still have all that energy. Actually, I just got off work a couple hours ago. You would know it with all the energy I have. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it for the work aspect.
I find it fascinating how, I mean, how we go from our college thinking this is what we're going to do. And then we go into different careers and how that trajectory, how we go from being working in hospital and medicine to now being a ditch rider. It, I find it fascinating, and it really it shows me that life is a journey of finding what works best for us.
It is.
Whether that's relationships, whether that's careers, whether that's friendships, community, whatever it is. And I've absolutely learned that as a military spouse and bouncing all over the world. You know, it's pretty fascinating. So, how for those of us who haven't watched our original video, how did you and I meet?
So we met, like we said, back in '02 or '03 through 4-H, where I met a lot of longtime friends through a conference called Idaho Teen Conference up north at Moscow, and they hold it once a week long in June usually. And earlier in the, I say winter, springtime, so I'd say winter, there's a conference called Know Your Government, KYG. And a lot of times, either the state officers and sometimes the college staff would come and help promote teen conference. And I think you were there, if I recall, because the orange bucket hat, that's just always stands out, of course. I don't know if you were there or not, or a
I
different
don't think
year.
so.
But that's where I heard about teen conference, then kind of going from there, then meeting you at teen conference when I was going to be a freshman. Then I was a delegate almost every year. A few things I didn't go because one year I went to Europe, then driver's ed. Then after I graduated high school, I applied for college staff. Then so I was working alongside of you. So our friendship grew even more that way. Then to when I was in the Marine Corps, I came back on leave a time or two and also was college staff or just a volunteer. And then when I got out, I think it was a year or two after I got out, I can't remember, but then we were co college staff advisors. So we are at the top. Then you had moved on with wherever you had moved to, then I actually became the college staff advisor. So started from the bottom, worked up with you, then kind of took over your legacy, which was kind of neat to see.
Neat to see is an understatement, brother. It that is something. So, oh man, you and I can sit here for the next 3 hours and talk stories and discuss conference. That conference, in a nutshell, teen conference was, because it's no longer. Conference was a place where high school youth, and you didn't even have to be in 4-H to be there, but it
Hmm.
was it was a 4-H conference. It was a place where we just had an insane amount of fun, like crazy amounts of fun.
Yep.
Lots of breakout sessions, lots of classes. We still had a lot of education. We had speakers that would come in, and we had keynotes, but we also had tournaments. I mean, we had the traveling trophy, and
Yep.
when I don't know, did we still have the sports side of conference when you were in?
As a delegate, yeah, we still had soccer, and I remember soccer. I don't remember much of any other sports, but I remember
Okay,
soccer was
so
one.
back in the day, we had football, soccer, and baseball and basketball.
Oh, we had baseball.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had those 4 sports on top of everything else that we were doing. We had so anyway, we had a trophy where each district, so the state was broken up into 4 districts, and we all had this big competition, and each district had officers that were in charge of things. And I mean, it was it, think about it, Brad. Think about how much we crammed into 5 days.
A lot. Because I remember it used to be we'd come up, was it Sunday or Monday or early Monday morning? Then we would leave on Saturday. Then it did get shorter. It would come
Yeah.
up on Monday,
Leave
then
on
leave
Friday.
on Friday.
Yeah.
And I think it got shorter from there. I can't remember.
One year it was even shorter. We went through a downturn really bad. We were really struggling for numbers. And to validate it, they had to cut an extra day off. So it was a 3-day conference. Uh,
Hmm.
luckily, that only lasted like a year. And then we were able to expand it back out. But yeah, I mean, and then the leadership potential and the thing that always touches me in my memories is that we were able to create we you and I, the other adults, the other college staff, were able to create an environment where these kids could just be comfortable, where there was no cliques, there was no, yeah, there's always a popularity hierarchy in
Hmm.
any event you go to, period. I mean, that's almost impossible to get away from. But even though we had that hierarchy, there was no looking down.
You could
You know,
just
we had
be yourself and not be judged,
absolutely,
essentially.
absolutely. I mean, we had the state officers who are the creme de la creme of the leadership of the state, and they've worked their faces off, and they've done everything that they need to do, and they're still making sure that everybody's involved and going along. And I want to touch real quick on the importance of what you did as college staff. So college staff, it was that interim, that in between the delegates and the adults, right? The chaperones,
Hmm.
the state staff, the people in charge. And so we stayed at University of Idaho and stayed in one of the dorms. Depending on the year, it was either Wallace Hall or it was the Tower. And so college staff, basically, we did all the behind the scenes work. If a workshop needed set up, if somebody needed driven somewhere, if somebody needs to go get materials and supplies. So that was our day job. Is just making sure all the kids are where they're supposed to be, making sure all of the breakout sessions and the workshops and everything's taken care of. And then at night, we were the RAs
Hmm.
on the floor and we hardly slept. We
Sleepless week.
sleepless week because we had chaperones or state staff that were on the floors, but it was our job if there was anything that went sideways or kids unruly or if there was something bad happened, we were that first line and then we took it up the ladder that was needed.
Hmm.
And I- I'm I'm fairly confident to say, brother, during our tenure, we had some close calls, but nothing horrible happened.
Yep.
You know, um, we did have to send a couple kids home over the years, and I have a 20-year. I mean, that makes me feel even older than I was part of conference as a delegate and as college staff for 20 years. So during that 20-year period, we only had to send a couple kids home. That's a pretty amazing track record.
And for having hundreds of kids, depending on the year of the conference, we had upwards of 4, even 500 kids. So that's pretty good to say. Out of all those years, thousands of kids, only a handful were sent home.
Exactly. And that says a lot to the caliber of the kids that we had at the program, but I believe it has more to say about the caliber of leadership and mentorship we had there.
Agreed.
Truly. Because let's be honest, we show up on Monday. Most of us were there Saturday, Sunday. Delegates show up on Monday. And so we're going through all of our training. We have youth development training and we have communication training and we have all these things that we have to take care of, right? so that we're good chaperones, we're good college staff. And when we talk about college staff, I've got, we had 18-year-olds up to mid 20s that were in charge of these kids.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there, sorry, makes a significant difference on our leadership as the older folk. But then you get 100, 200, 300, 400 kids that show up on Monday, and you've got a gobbledygook of ranges of kids there, from super high level leadership, got their stuff together, to holy squirrel in a box.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And to take that, run a successful event, take these kids from not knowing each other to Friday at the final assembly where everybody's bawling their eyes out. No one wants to leave. No one wants to give up their new friends that they just made. So going from nobody knows anyone to that in 4, maybe 5 days.
And the lifelong friends that you create from that too. You being one of them, but I still have a handful that I'm still really close to, that I met even about the same time as you, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. And look at the mentors that we gained out of that as well. Not just us, our friendships, but the people that we ended up looking up to in both our peer, but then also our adults at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Andy's, the Claudines, the Arlinda Naumanns, the
The
Mary,
Debbies and the Tims.
the Debbies and the Tims and the Udders, and the list is forever long of all of these people that now that we're adults, we're more peer, but I still put them way up here.
Agree.
They're still more than I am.
Doesn't matter how old you are, you still think of them as that different peer higher group. And same thing, like even when being as college staff, you're looking at the officers and even the delegates. You even look up to them, even though they're younger, and see them grow, because it's that same type of situation, just different peer groups and age groups. You still look up to them, different categories.
Absolutely. 100%. Here, I'm going to share this real quick. So this is college staff. I don't know what year this was.
This might have been 2015, because I actually had a full beard then. So
Okay.
like full beard.
Yeah. So that is the team that ran the conference, truthfully. Not saying that the state staff and everyone else didn't do their job, but the day-to-day was ran by us.
Behind the scenes, everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing that I respect, so Claudine Zender, so I had the opportunity to work under a couple state 4-H directors, 4-H coordinators. I don't know their proper terms. Through conference, I had the opportunity to work under 3 in my term, and they were all amazing in their own way. And the thing that I respect about all of them is that they said, here's the vision, here's the goal, here's your resources, college staff, run with it.
Yep. They entrusted us with all the information and our skills to get it done.
Correct. Now, it was not always that way, though. Before your time, college staff did bupkis. Just fair. Now, I still love my college staff when I was a delegate, but it was a completely different era of teen conference. College staff was literally just kind of like the RAs, and they were kind of extra help if needed. My first year or two of college staff, we didn't do much. We kind of piddle farted around and went off and did our own thing and kind of screwed off a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But by probably the second year of my college staff, we started really becoming more involved, and they recognized here's 10, 8, 10, 12 hands that we can be using. So
Yeah.
by the time Claudine came in, and Claudine Zender really stepped it up and said, okay, you guys are in charge of this, this, and this, and this, because I need your help. Because she was put into an impossible position her first year. And she's like, the only way we're going to save conference was at risk. And the only way we're going to make this happen, guys, is if we do these things. And we're like, great, we got you. Let's run it. And then in my opinion, it just kept getting better after that.
Agreed.
But what is your, let's one more thing on conference and then we'll let it go. What is to you one of the most profound, and it could be profound to you in whatever way, what is one of the most profound memories you have of conference?
Ooh. As a delegate or college staffer, doesn't matter.
One of each.
Okay. So I've actually been even a volunteer as well. Oh, that is a hard one. Man, right on the spot. I'd say as a delegate, man,
You're welcome.
That is hard.
It is.
I want to say, I think it was the year I was a volunteer, because I was still in the Marine Corps. A lot of people didn't know I was coming. I don't even know if you knew I was coming at the time. But Claudine actually had messaged me if I was going to be college staff, because I think I had prior to that. And I said, I don't know if I can get leave. So I'm talking with Debbie Lober. Then if I do, it'll be as a volunteer, because that can be like more of a last minute thing. That I showed up, I took leave. So the time I earned, I took off just to go to conference. And I surprised a lot of people. And I remember that Tim and Debbie thanked me for a lot of the work I did as a volunteer that year, because I helped set up stuff besides what college staff was doing, but other behind the scene type stuff as well. And I just remember taking pictures. I'd brought my Blues uniform with Andy. I have a picture of that, and a few of some of the officers. I think one of them was time before she got married, Jessica Ratliff. I don't remember her married name now. But as a volunteer then I'd say as college staff, my first year working next to you, because growing up, seeing you as one of my mentors, then being able to be a advisor next to you, and you trusting me with all that I know and don't know. Because if I didn't know, I'd ask you. But I'd say, so it wasn't my first year, but it would be my first year as an advisor, co-advising with you, college staff.
Wow. You're gonna make me cry, man.
That's when awesome. Don't I?
So, wow. Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know what to say. You're welcome.
You're welcome. What have you taken into your adult life from those experiences?
Ooh, from those experiences, because you're working with high school age delegates, I would say, depending on my situation, because military, it changed a few aspects of me, my patience for certain things. But when it comes to the military, I do have very short, I don't have patience at all. I get very short with some people. I don't mean to, but it helps with my patience, I would say. That would be one of the big things.
Yes.
Working with herding, sometimes it's like herding cats. We're working with that many delegates. So you got to learn to deal with that. Then take that to real life. Your job, your doesn't matter. Herding cats in real life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
chaos.
Would you also would you consider working with, because teenagers is a different level of, I mean, working as a coach, working with littles as in that environment, not on a daily day-to-day school teacher environment, but in this kind of environment where you only have um a little bit of time with them. Anyway, working with littles, you automatically have that respect. They're like, oh, that's adult. He's in charge. I do what he says.
Hmm.
High schoolers, not the case necessarily,
Yeah,
unless they already have that respect, unless they're walking into the room with that respect established, which we kind of were able to cheat a little bit because in 4-H that's already instilled.
it
We're
is.
already working with these kids that understand that these are volunteers and they're leaders and they're here for me, and so there's a little bit of cheating there. What I'm getting to, the question is, do you also see that working with the 4-H kids has helped you understand trust and not necessarily micromanagement?
Yeah, so because you can also relate that to jobs as well. Because I co-leaded the Candy County Builders Club with Andy for many years. Then when he stepped down, he gave me the leader role of the Builders Club. Um, it's taking trust on both sides of the party of the teens and the adult. Be like, hey, we're going to do this, and this. But like you said, for as being call staff, kind of just roll with it. Then if
Mhm.
you need anything, come ask me. I'll watch to the side. I won't be standing right behind you. Oh, you need to do this. Oh, you're doing it wrong. Um, it have them do that project or whatever they're doing. Then once it's all done and over with, sit down with them. Be like, hey, maybe take a look at this next time, see if that can work. But I'm not going to be up in your business because it can make them nervous, and it can make you not trustworthy for one, because they don't trust. They don't trust. How am I saying this? Um, they don't think they have trust in themselves, and so just like give them the reins essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. So, if anybody's figured this out, I love telling stories. So, as you're telling that, it reminded me of a project that we did at conference for a couple years. So, one of the things that we'd always do at conference is a community project, right? One year, a couple years, we cleaned, we planted trees. I mean, every year we did military bags. We volunteered at the retirement home. So the entire delegation for about a half a day, it's community outreach, community service. That's what it is. So the Arboretum. So University of Idaho has a very beautiful arboretum area. It's got a big amphitheater in it and walking paths, and it's really cool. Well, a storm had come through that winter, I think, or spring, and had just laid down a bunch of the woods in the arboretum area. And so when Claudine and the state staff was trying to figure out our community service, somehow they got connected and they're like, hey, we could use some help because there's only a couple guys that work in that department and we've got a lot of cleanup. Now, here's where my pride swells significantly, and it goes to exactly what you're talking about. Is I think we had 30 kids. Now, I'm saying freshmen to seniors, so they're still kids, but these are also farm ranch kids, but there are also a bunch of city kids in there too
Hmm.
that still understand work ethic. So I remember the first year, and I was in charge of that one. because all of us college staff would get divvied up to different community services. So I got that one. And we showed up, and the supervisor, he's like, well, I basically, he wasn't saying in so many words. Basically, he's like, this is a bunch of kids, and I don't have high expectations of the outcome. So this is kind of, I'm like, okay, sir, with all due respect, I need to know what you want done. What is the goal for today? He's like, well, we need to clean up the woods. And I'm saying it's maybe 3 acres, maybe 2 to 3 acres. It's not a
Hmm.
huge area, but there were entire trees down, and there's a pretty good hill. And he's like, we just need to get all of the trees and the limbs and everything up off the ground and any of the garbage. I'm like, awesome. He's like, just stack them in these areas, and so that we can chip them later. I'm like, cool. Gather up the troops. This is our goal. This is what we're going to do. This is, we need all of this over here. We're going to stack it here. We have this amount of time to get it done. Ready to go? Yeah, go. Boom. And I mean, it was off. They were off.
Yep.
And I think we had an hour and a half. It wasn't a long amount of time. And, the gentleman's like, well, they blah, blah. I'm like, just be patient with us. Exactly what you were saying,
Yep.
let them do it. If they fail, they fail. We'll figure it out. So finally, he went, he did something. He comes back and he's like, everything was clean.
Yep.
I mean, and I look up and there's a group of 6 guys that are carrying a log.
A log. I remember that.
Okay. A tree, like a 20-foot, I don't know, 18, 20-inch tree.
They lifted it up and put it on their shoulder and were walking out.
They were walking out, and they came down the hill, and he's like, he couldn't believe it. I'm like, okay, guys, that's the limit. And we got it all done in maybe 45 minutes.
Yep. It was pretty fast.
And it was done. That story right there touches me so deeply, brother, because it was one of those experiences. I didn't do a thing. Because you were there with me? Was it us?
Yep. Yeah. I think this was our last year together co-advising on college staff, 2015.
Didn't do a thing. Didn't do a thing. And when he came back, he's like, yeah, we need to stop, because they were moving outside of the designated area because they had already done all the work.
Yep.
And so they were just kept going further and further and further and further. And he's like, we got to stop. He's like, he's like, that's
you did what you're supposed to do.
right. Well, he's like, that's months worth of work that you guys just did in 45 minutes. I'm like, yep. Yes, we did.
We got you.
Called everybody in, said, you guys are amazing. And he stopped us and publicly thanked us.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I've never seen high school kids do this. This is something special. Yes. So yeah. Yes. Okay. Like I said, you and I can sit here and talk about those experiences for forever.
Days.
I want you to talk about this.
So this is just me. No. So this is a 1965 Chevy K10 4x4. It's been in the family since 1970. My mom's, I call them my aunt and uncle, but they're her cousins. So we're the only family we have. I visit them quite often. They got this truck in 1970, and it was an Oregon Forest Service truck before that. It was the dark forest truck green type. Then of this truck, there was only 633 of them of the short bed fleet side trucks made that year. Then in 1993, 94, they restored the truck. So I was, 5, 6, 7 years old at the time. So I got to see him kind of the truck in parts. Then it slowly be built up when we'd visit them and everything. Then every time we'd visit them, I was like, let me have the truck. Let me have the truck. They wouldn't do it. Then back in 2018, so it was Thanksgiving of 2017, went over to the Bend, Oregon, Sisters, Oregon area, then talked about it, and he finally said he would let it go. So some stipulations here and there. I brought it home spring of 2018. So actually, the time when I bought this house I'm in, I brought that home, and now I go to car shows, parades. I've done the 4th of July parade here in Notice, Idaho, the last 5 years, and I've gotten, besides 2020 when there wasn't parade, I've had almost first place every single time and won second place for best vehicle. I've won a few trophies here and there, and this trophy here is actually from the club I'm in. It's called C10s of Idaho, because Chevys and GMCs are C10, which is the two-wheel drive, and K10s are four-wheel drive. This was C10s on the island at Eagle Island Park in Idaho, and it rained all that day, and I actually got, I think it was People's Choice for best show, and it's actually
Nice.
made of all of engine parts and tranny parts. This trophy is probably about 35, 40 pounds. And that was, I think, my first or second trophy I got with the truck.
I love it.
So, and her name is Big Bertha. So,
All right, we talked about your beard very very shortly,
we did.
and Jason says it's beard pain.
You got it. Beard pain. That's one I actually haven't heard.
There you go. Leave it to Jason. He comes up with amazing ones. So I wish I had an image of it, but we actually put your face on a sweatshirt.
We do. I actually have a picture somewhere. I should have got it before we started, but it's a picture of me pointing the sweatshirt, and it says, "Yes, this is me. My beard. My beard is awesome. Yes, this is me," or something to
Yeah,
that effect. And it was
yeah,
actually like the outline of my beard
yep.
and everything.
That was a fun project. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I
A
was
lot.
going. That's when I was going back to school. So that would have been about 2015, 2016 time frame, because I remember it was fall, winter time is when we did that.
Your ability to remember dates is amazing.
Sometimes I have a good memory, but at the same time, I have a bad memory because I'll have conversations with my wife, and 10 minutes ago we had this conversation. I was like, I don't remember that. Like, I legit, like, we have conversations. It's not just a wife thing. It happens to a lot of people. Like, I remember years back, I was coming home from work when I worked in the hospital. I was living by my parents. I stopped by their parents. I was there for maybe an hour, go home, do stuff. Then I came back. I had no recollection. Recollection that I was even at their house for an hour. Like, just didn't even know I was there. So, but sometimes I use it to my advantage. She knows that, but yeah.
So, sir, medically, could it be that during those times that your massive beard was leaching your brain power, or your beautiful locks are leaching your brain power?
Yeah, so that's how it got so big. It was just pull all the growth, because crying grows the beard. Everyone knows that. But all that there, then I took that away. Sometimes I have a mustache now. I have the mullet, and now it just all that information's in the mullet.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. One last thing here, brother. I have to share this. I have to share the world your beautiful bride.
That is my wife, Rachel, and I. That is our engagement photo. One of them, anyway.
You guys, you're getting your face in your face, baby.
Yep. So there's actually a funny thing about this photo. Our photographer, it's a Blythe Weddings, amazing photographer. Her name's Blythe. I think it was Kiss with Your Teeth. And I said, what? And I was smiling, laughing at the same time. And that's kind of the outcome of the picture.
Okay. I like it. Hey,
So
you know what? Here's the thing, brother. At your wedding, at everything that led up to your wedding, I had met her once before.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah, we
first
had
time you
dinner.
met
Yeah.
her was you were rolling through town and you needed somewhere to crash. And I said, "Yeah, go ahead and crash. I got a spare bed for you, and you can meet my at the time girlfriend." Then Andy came over too, so we all had a little powwow. The three of us, well, four of us, and everything. And that was we got a picture, which I'm so happy about. And that was the last time we actually, the three of us, got to be with each other.
Yeah. Still hurts. But
It does.
talking about talking about Andy, I'm working on eventually, and I'll be honest with you, I'm dragging my feet, but I want to do a live event and do like a remote memorial so everybody can tell stories. But for your wife, here's the thing. Here's where I was trying to go with this. Is got to meet her that one time, got to BS a little bit, talk a little bit, but during that week of your wedding, and she was so kind to me and super accommodating, super loving, and you have found yourself an amazing woman. Uh, I'm excited to see your life, and I mean, you're going to have your trials and tribulations like everyone does, but I'm super stoked because, like you said earlier, you've had your trials, and you found each other, and it's going to be amazing to see you guys grow and um with each other and in your community. And yeah, I'm super stoked, man. Super proud of you.
Thanks.
Super proud of you.
Thank you.
So with that, one last question.
Cancer.
What would you what piece of advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Ooh, what advice would I give my 18-year-old self? I think you actually asked this question last time, but I don't remember. Um, what? Be patient. Things happen for a reason. Um, God has his plans for you, even though it may be the worst thing. Um, things can get bad. Always had outlook. Always stay positive, even in a bad situation, because it just helps that situation just a little bit more,
Yeah.
even if it's really bad. So I'd say be patient, stay positive. Things are gonna work out how they're supposed to, even though you don't think so at the time.
Yeah. That's hard.
And that you'll still be friends with that weird guy with the orange bucket hat 20 years from now.
That hat. It's the hat.
It's the hat.
And that's a funny story behind itself, but one of the old college staffs actually had that hat made for me. And I still have it. It's faded like crazy, but I still
It's
have it.
like peach color.
Probably. Yeah, pretty close. Pretty close. But yeah, it's in my closet right now. I still have it. So, brother, I appreciate you. I love you, brother.
Love you too.
I'm so proud of you, and I'm excited to see the next 5 years of what's happening in the Paine household. It's
There'll be little ones running around. I can tell you that.
I love it. Are
So
you telling me something?
no, not yet. Not yet.
Am I picking up on something?
No, not yet.
Okay, we're going to start a rumor right now, ladies and gentlemen. So Brad is pregnant. His wife knocked him up. So, yeah. So thank you for being my friend. Thank you for
And
being
thank you for being mine as well.
So, all right. With that, love you guys. Reach out. I'm looking to grow this. I'm looking for new people. Reach out, comment, tell stories. I even want to know all the bad Brad stories. Tell me the bad Brad stories. I doubt there's any of them out there, but I want to hear them anyway. No.
Well,
Hey, you never know.
yeah.
Right, Brad, you're amazing. You're incredible. Everybody else, keep smiling. I wish I could squish your face. Bye.